Single parenting, that's the topic today. Hi, I'm Laila from Singapore. Sorry for the delay again. The computer is doing a fucking Halloween, I think, on my ass today. I feel like I need a drink, but hey, that's another topic. Probably next week, something else is going to happen. If you like this program, please share or comment. I'll get to your comments at the end of the talk show, hopefully. And if you want to drop an email with ideas or be a guest, drop me an email at lifebylaila@gmail.com. I need to calm down because it was like today. I have 3 wonderful single parents with me. I have Angie Sam, and I have Caroline, and I have Marin also. He's the only rose among the thorns. And normally when we talk about single parenting, we always hear from the women's side. And I think that it's wonderful to hear about men raising their own kids too. So I'm going to bring up Marin and Caroline first. And Myron, why don't you come up and also introduce yourself first and tell us a little bit about you, since you are the hot single parent.
Thanks, Laila. Hi, my name is Myron. Well, I've been a single parent now for about almost 8 years. My kids are living off Singapore. I've got 3 grown-up children. They are 18 years young, 16 years, and 14 years. I travel back and forth between Malaysia and Singapore, and I get to spend some good quality time with them instead of quantity, because of the age. It's now quality versus quantity, Laila.
Correct. Great. And you are in Malaysia running a gym, right, for kids?
That's right. I'm the head of Malaysia for Rockstar Gym Malaysia. It's actually a kids and teens program, which is the first in Asia right now. We're the only gym in Asia that caters to children from 6 months right up to 16 years. We teach them a lot of skills. Why? Because we teach them social skills and also getting them more confident. We teach kids programs like ballet, dance, gymnastics, futsal, basketball, tennis, so that they know their skill level, and also they have children. So it's a brand new concept out in Asia. We've got 10 locations in Jakarta, 3 in Malaysia so far.
Perfect. So now I'm going to bring up Caroline, and Caroline is a very famous photographer, and I have done wonderful shoots with Caroline, and she's always, chirpy and laughing. This is exactly how Caroline is, always laughing. So Caroline, please introduce yourself and let people know about your wonderful skill as a photographer too.
Oh, you're so sweet. I am not famous at all. I'm trying my best. I'm a photographer, and I just found my my passion. I love what I do. I shoot, I photograph children, grown-ups, anything, flowers, jewelry, whatever you place in front of me. My newest passion is travel photography. And I just really love what I do. So I'm very lucky to have found my passion.
True. Tell us about your kids. How old are they?
Okay. Sorry. So I've been more or less a single parent since 2005. So that's quite a while. My kids now are young adults, like Marin's, 20, 18, and 15. It's all I can say is child raising is one of the most rewarding, although not easy, things I've ever done. So I'm really happy. I'm happy. I am a parent. Obviously, a single parent has its problematic sides.
Yeah.
But it's been a fabulous ride all along.
Yeah, for me, it's like this is the only job that I can't quit, man. I can't send in my resignation letter.
I actually think when I'm sort of 95 and I'm sort of running around, I'll still be saying to my children, I think you need a haircut, and they'll just roll their eyes and go, sorry.
Fantastic. So now we're gonna bring Angie up. So I've known Angie. My God, Angie's a very young lady, and I've known Angie when she was modeling in Singapore. She now lives in Bali. So I let Angie speak to us what she does. And Angie, please tell us, how many children do you have?
I have one. She's 18 years old. I've been raising her for 10 years. I've been a single mom for 10 years. Been living in Bali for 20 years. Only recently took her back to school here. So currently I'm doing like a bed and breakfast thing in Bali. I have my own place that I build, and I host people. So I kind of enjoy what I'm doing.
Tell us the name of your place.
Casalia Home in Canggu.
Casalia in Canggu. Beautiful.
Yeah, in Canggu.
Nice.
Yeah. I build. I do the decorations and etc. Everything, and I host people as well.
How come you all are so what do you call it? Creative. I can't even make my own bed sheet.
After living here and going there, moving there, that's where I get my creativity over there.
Really? Of course, Bali. Right, it's different. Right. So before I bring everybody else up, I want to ask you, Angie, since you're a single parent for the last 10 years, do you feel that you've been judged being a single parent? And how or when, and among who, friends or family?
You know, in Singapore, Bali is different. Here, sometimes, it's all you need to find your own friends, your own people, support systems, support friendships, and also the children. And then we try not to intimidate. Some people are here, it's different. So we try to show them a different way.
But you have you ever experienced anybody have ever said something to you that sticks out in your mind, that they have said something judgmental?
Well, yeah, a couple of times. So I just tell them, I said, look, look at my child. She's independent. She's not spoiled. She's very grateful, and I'm proud of her.
Great.
Ignore all the rest.
It's true. That's true. I mean, a lot of people spout a lot of shit coming out from their mouth anyway. So if it doesn't help you, throw it away. I want to ask the only guy that's here. I feel so privileged that we have Maran here to answer us questions that we are all wondering. So Maran, for you, does it work the same way for you as a single parent, which is a male? Is it for us women? I think it's more being judgmental. Of course, you didn't do anything wrong. You did something wrong. That's why your husband left you. Have you ever been judged on your side?
100%. I think on my side, it's always the guy's fault.
Oh, yeah. It's true.
It's always the guy's fault, something happened, it's the guy's fault. It's your fault to, get things. But, again, it's just to prove everybody wrong and show them that, hey, it's always not the case. You can still look after your children, because guess what? If you have your children's well-being at heart and you want to look after them, there's nothing out there that can sort of stop you from doing what you want to do for your children. So, it's the quality time that you spend with them and how you hug them and love them. And as they grow up, the children will reciprocate the same love back to you. And that shows to the world what kind of parent you are. Because I've known other parents or other daddies who have just disappeared and gone away, and then they try and find the kids later. But with me, I'm with my kids all the time, in terms of on a conference call, on a WhatsApp group. I've got a nice Daddy's Angels WhatsApp group put together. So I kind of give them directions if they're kind of lost, because I think kids need direction more than a parent to be over them. I think the days of parents being over their children are over. It's more direction, giving them a pathway to what they want to do and achieve.
But when you say, yeah, of course you're being judged, but because it's always a man's fault. But now, since you are the one who looks after the kids, it doesn't seem to work that way, right? So people probably are looking up to you like, wow, such a good daddy, you look after your kids. That you get that more than, you bastard, that's why your wife left you and blah, blah, blah.
That's kind of nice to know, But again, the world is a it's a pretty scary place out there, and you always be judged no matter which angle you look at it. So the best thing is to put everything aside, and and just do everything the best that you can, because every day you're being judged for things that you're not doing at all. So to me, I just put it aside and just work with what I have.
On that note, we will ask the happy Caroline, what has she ever been judged before?
Have I ever been what?
Ever been judged, by being a single parent?
Actually, no. I was thinking about it, and no, I have also a huge group of friends here who are single parents, and in Europe and America, basically it's a 50-50 chance. So no, I'm actually not judged by being a single parent. Often what happens is people ask and say, "Oh, you should find another guy. You should find another guy." And I go, "No, I'm really happy by myself, and I like raising my children by myself." If there's somebody out there, that's great. But if not, that's not the. So no. And I was just going back to what you said with about Maren and being judged. I think the saddest thing nowadays, and I hear this all the time, is that children are used as hostages. So instead of both parents, whether they get along or not, saying, "You know what, we don't get along, but let's just think about the children." And I just look around, and I think that's really one of the most important things to say. You know what, we might not stand each other and like each other anymore, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many children together. And whether or not, we're a team, we need to work together to raise the children well. And I think that's a real problem nowadays. Or in general, that's a problem in general, I think, with divorce. Because the hatred for each other, or the disrespect for each other, or resentment for each other spills over into the children's lives. And that's sad, right?
Right. Well, I forgot to mention also to the audience that I am also a single parent. I've been a single parent for 17, 18 years. I personally have not been judged because I don't let anybody know for the last 2 years when I separated with my husband, not my family, not my friends. So they didn't know it for 2 years. I would go to work smiling and nobody knows yet because we're also private. Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to bring up Angie together with Caroline first, because we are women. What is it like dating now for single parents? What is it like, Angie?
Dating. I mean, now that my daughter is 18 years old, it's easy, but you're quite careful. You have to be very careful with the person who you're with and everything. I try not to introduce first,
Yeah.
So I try to see how the person is, the character and everything, because you've taken care of such a wonderful child and everything. You just want to try to find space and time how to reintroduce. It's very important, right, Erin?
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I mean, my kids are now 20, 18, and 15, so it's not an issue anymore. I'm sure both of you were considerate of that fact when the children were younger. Like, I would never bring dates home. It was just not done. Just because I think that it's already a precarious situation, and I didn't want them to feel like, oh my God, there's now somebody else in the contention. So, I agree.
That's when it's much younger.
I happen to love my job so much. I just basically put all my energy to my job, and I travel quite a bit. So it's like time.
What about Maren? So we're going to bring Maren up. Maren, let's ask you, what's dating like for you? A single, good-looking man, who got it all together. Very, very nice. I've known you since California Fitness. My God, don't even say how many years ago was that. So what's dating like for you?
Well, I think for dating for me, it's been close to zero.
Well, at least we don't feel bad.
Sad to say, well, you got children, you got 3 children, and they look up to you, and they look up to you as a father, and they have got this idea of their mother with them still, and you don't want to break that thought in them. So I have not sort of broached that topic at all with the children. and my kids have told me, Daddy, no dating, no.
No dating,
I pretty
no
much
what?
lived no dating and no second mommies for me. No mommy number 2, you know. So hence I've no. So hence there's no mommies in the gang, or there's no dating put together, so that because to me, I want to get the kids up an age where they understand what we went through as divorced parents as well. So they have an idea of to mold their thought process, which is so important, because they're already so scarred by what happened in such a young age, that I don't want to give them a wrong impression that, hey, men are bad and they don't want to get married or have boyfriends or whatsoever. So I try and give them the positive side of life versus seeing the negative side.
Right, like Caroline was saying, you know, it's so important if your marriage broke up, you as parents are still going to be parents of your children. If you put the energy of raising your kids together and, you know, take your bitchiness out of the marriage that didn't work, then it would be a lot. I mean, it's not going to be 100% for the parents, but at least it would be stable for the kids. So I think that's where parenting goes haywire, custody goes haywire, unless, you know, whoever you're married to are a sick person, and it's a different story, a different story anyways. But I think for parents, we always are very careful with our kids, and almost I know there's certain parents, single parent, that almost give up their life for their kids, and I've met all of them, most of them, and I also have an identity where I still am me, and I try to have my own life. I'm not sure whether you guys agree with that. I'm going to ask Angie that question. Do you have your own life? Do you set yourself up as Angie, and besides, you know, your daughter's mother? And also the second question is, do you have people pitying you, and how do you feel about that? Or, you know, if you sympathy, how do you feel about that? So there's 2 questions, Angie.
Sympathy. I not much, but I think I have.
Okay. Okay, I think Angie's stuck. We'll get back to Angie. Let's bring Caroline up first. This happens, you know, it's life. So what do you got to do? Shit happens in life.
I hear you. It should happen. A lot of shit happens. But it's my favorite. One of my, Ajahn Brahm, one of the monks I listen to, says, the biggest roses grow off the biggest shit heap. So, you know, I think that sometimes when the shit heap's really big, my rose is going to smell really fine. So, I do have something to say about having your own life, and this is something that also happens to married women. I don't think that this is a single parent or a married woman parent issue, especially for women. I think that it's very important to find and have your own life. Now, it's a little bit easier for me because I found my passion, and it's photography, and I can do it anywhere and everywhere. Most of the times, my children can't eat at the dining room because I've got some sort of flower setup, earring setup, some setup there. So they've kind of gotten used to my, you know, photography all over the house. And I think it's also good because the kids can then see, oh my God, you know, mom or dad, whoever it is, you know, has his own life. And I think the other thing is that one will never resent the children later in life. I will never have to say to my kids, I gave up my life for you, ever. And I said this to my kids already. I said, believe you me, I haven't given up. I've added, and it's maybe hard to juggle, but I've never given up a part of let's put it this way, I've never sacrificed too much. Yeah. But it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to juggle.
Well, what about do you encounter people that, oh, you know, poor Caroline, like to you, oh, I feel so sorry for you, you know, you lost your husband, and, you know, now you're looking after your own kids. Do you have that?
I have that only sporadically until people realize who I am and what kind of a person. At the moment they talk to me for 5 minutes, they realize, you know, it's not. And there are parts of me that I'm sure people feel sorry about, but there's a lot of empathy, I think, especially in the circle that I'm in about with single women, because when you talk to other single women, you have that issue, right? You know, people know, and even married people who have children know how hard it is to raise a child, let alone alone. So I do get sympathy, and I don't really want people to say poor Carolyn, because I don't actually feel poor. I don't feel in any way neglected. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes a good side of raising children alone means you can actually kind of, if you have an agenda, a good agenda, whatever, you know, you can actually pull it through, right? So I love raising my children to be people that I want to be with. So I really I want them to watch the same comedy shows so that we can quip together. And, you know, our house is really quite funny. There's a lot of laughter going on because there's always some sort of quipping and sort of lots of political and ethic and moral argumentation, because that's what I like. And I raised them to, I kind of said, you need to keep in touch with life. You need to keep in touch with BBC. And then, you know, we have these huge discussions about, well, you know, American politics. And but that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think for me, as I pity the people that are still inside a loveless marriage and miserable and being beaten up. So I don't pity me, pity your own ass, Maren. So I'm gonna ask you. So do you have your own life besides work? Yeah, I mean, I know you're not dating zero. Oh, that already answered that first question. Do you also get a lot of sympathy? Of course, you're being the man or poor, you're a single man.
I wish there was a sympathy part. No, Laila. I think they'll have the look, and then they will just say, yeah, okay, well, you know, this is what life is all about. But actually, in the early part of the divorce and all, it was kind of a terrible time where it's difficult to see children. Like Caroline says, the kids were the hostages put together. So we kind of moved away from that part and decided to raise them up properly. You know, yes, I have a life outside. You know, I exercise a fair bit, and go out and drink with friends and people that I work with here. You know, and some of the parents here are so good. They actually take me out and they say, look, Maran, since you're living here alone, why don't you come and join my family, have a drink, which is nice. You know, they take you in. It's a nice family feeling that I get. You know, yes, the loneliness to you, but it's because I'm with my children. I get to see them on weekends, and I visit them. It's something which I enjoy sort of doing right now. No issues in terms of having sympathy from anybody who says, look, how's life being a single parent himself?
Exciting. Now Angie's back, so let's hear from Angie. Poor thing, the Wi-Fi dropped or something. So let's hear from Angie. What are the two questions? Or do you have a life besides, you know, a parenting, and also do you get a lot of sympathy from people when you got divorced and being a single parent? Sorry, Angie. Hi, Angie.
The first one. The first one, yeah, I'm having a great life. I'm enjoying myself, travel, do what I want to do, because I've dedicated all my time and energy when she was, you know, 10 years already. So now it's time for me to do what I want to do, you know, and to be independent by myself without, you know, thinking of anything. So I'm really happy where I am now. Very, very happy. Sympathy. When I first left, yeah, I got a lot of people that's very kind, very sweet. They're there to support and everything. So I'm at the moment now, there's different kind of sympathy. Before, it's like they just want to be around you and support you and make sure you're comfortable, you're okay. You know, hearing your problems, your issues. But now they're thinking about what you're going to do next, who you're going to be with. You're going to think about your life for the next 10 years, 20 years, so on and so forth. I'm like, forget about it. Like, I'm happy. I'm living by the day, you know? So.
But it's typical, right? Like before you get married, it's like, when are you going to get married? When are you going to get married? And after you're married for 1 month, when are you going to have children? We're going to have children. You have the first child. When are you going to have the second child? So everybody is expecting something.
Yeah, but that is the best part. But now it's the best part.
Hang on a second. I think there's two of you. Hang on, Angie. I'm sending you a note on the turn. So Angie, look at the note. There's the team chat. Turn off your supplementary device audio. So it's gone already. No? It's gone. Okay, we're okay now. So yeah, we okay. Yeah. So you said that people, now are expecting. So we've already answered. You expecting when is the next guy?
Why you get married, then you get divorced, how are you going to do it with a child, are you okay? And then now is another cycle. It's like, when you're going to get somebody, when you're going to get married, you're going to get married, when you want to, what you want to do with your life, where you're going to be the next 10, 20 years. So I'm like, take it easy. I'm just so happy. I'm so content where I am now.
Right. So do you remember your marriage? Do you remember it? I'm asking this question is because I want to know, because this is my own personal question. I don't remember it, but I was married for 14 years. I don't remember it. The only parts that I remember, I have to open an album. Oh shit, I was there. Do you remember it?
Man, I remember everything. I was completely different as a married woman. I was like one of those in the photo frame, nice house, cooked every day, 3-4 meals a day, children parties, the perfect picture, and that's all. Sorry, but whenever I see a perfect picture, there's some problems inside that people tend to hide. So when I came out from there and I saw the whole picture, I'm like, man, so much rubbish going on in there, but people tend to hide it, everybody. So when I came out of the marriage, a lot of people come to me and they start reviewing their inner self, insecurity, their problems and issue, and I realize I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So I'm very, I'm trying to walk out of it, and not take the rubbish and the bullshit anymore. So, and that's the power we have in us, the strength.
Right.
No fear.
Well, I want to ask.
What it makes us what we are.
I want to ask you, what was your turning point to end it?
The turning point to end it is like, I can't do it anymore. I can't lie to stay in it. I cannot say everything is okay, everything is fine. I paint a beautiful picture,
Right.
And I say, no, I can't do this. I don't want to stay because I have to please other people to see that beautiful family picture and all this. I can't, because I want to be happy. Inside, I want to be. My mom have raised me into what I am today. If somebody don't deserve it, there's always someone else there who will appreciate it.
I'm gonna bring up Caroline and ask her that same question. Does she remember? Do you remember your marriage, and also what was your turning point?
I do, and I remember some amazing times. I mean, we were married for 6 years without kids, and we did a lot of traveling. My ex-husband is a banker, and so we were traveling to different countries. I lived in New York. I had the first child in Japan, then I had 2 children in the US, and we were back here. So there were really good times in my marriage, and I always say to my kids, not only did I have a really good time in my marriage for a certain period of time, I also have 3 amazing children, and I would always do it again. There's no doubt. And I can't really go into the details of when I left, just because we're still going through stuff 14 years later. But I left when I realized that it was better to leave. And we had a few years of trying, and it didn't work, and I left, or we split, right, or whatever it is. It ended. And I was okay with it. I actually really, I love having children and I love raising children. I really do. I mean, you ask my friends around and they'll say it. I'm not sitting here and say it and then, you know, I switch this off and go, oh, I hate it. I really, really enjoy it. And we travel a lot together and we put our backpacks on. And luckily they know how to deal with a crazy, eccentric woman like me. So it's a good thing. But I think the hardest part was deciding to leave. And then once I left, it was okay. I mean, obviously, there are lots of things that have happened that are not so good. But I think the hardest part is really between saying I'm going to leave and leaving. That's a really hard part because you have to think things through. What am I doing to the kids? Why am I doing this? Yeah. And, you know, part of it was probably also to, like Angie said, to find myself also more and, you know, to do what I really love to do, which happens to be photography and raising kids. So it's a hard step.
Yeah. It's always a hard step going into places that you have never faced before.
Yeah.
And whatever we do in life is facing fear, and fear is.
I don't know. That's right. I don't know. How was it for you? I mean, you know.
Oh, for me, it was easy because he left me no choice. I say I wished he had left me a crack that I can squeeze into, but he didn't. I refused to be in an abusive. He's a changed man. He was not mentally stable. When we say crazy, I don't mean like, oh, you crazy, you're fucking crazy. He's literally mentally ill. But for me, when it happened the third time, my kids were at home, and I refused to let my kids grow up thinking that that's okay. But you know, we had an amazing time, like when we were married. But amazing time. I have to look at somehow it's a blockage or whatever. You know, I don't remember. There's certain times where I sit down and open an album and then I go like, oh yeah, that happens, you know. So for me, it seemed hard at that time, but it made it so easy for me to leave. I was scared as shit because I was working $15 an hour for 3 hours, 3 times a week, and I had, you know, was left with nothing to, and it was difficult. But hey, you know, through difficulty, here we are. I'm gonna ask Maren the same question before Maren feels that he's outdone by women, it's evil women.
Never, Laila. Well, I've been with one person for 23 years before the curtains came down. You know, it's a long time. Yeah, because I was 18, I was 19, and she was 18 or 17, I think. And we've been through thick and thin. And after 23 years, you know, everything just kind of one day, the light bulb got turned off, and it went. I wish it was me that did the turning point, but it was actually my ex-wife that did the turnaround. You know,
right.
And I was a real hands-on dad, and because I love my children, and I was a 24/7 dad for my kids. You know, make sure I bathe them every morning, take them to school, come back home, put them to bed, feed them. You know, do everything else, and my life just turned after 23 years. Well, it's been a challenging time from then on, because again, because you love your children, you're now at a crossroad. Where do you go? You know, because we live and try and make things work, but if things are not going to work out, you know, if you're not happy, you're not happy. Things are not going to change. So might as well move on, be happy, let the other person be happy itself, and then I just moved on with life with the children.
So how do your kids feel about the divorce? Do you feel guilty sometimes?
I was fighting this for about 4 years, because I want to have the children, because to me, growing up, you must have both parents inside. Then the kids get the best of both worlds with my children, because as a father, I was there with them 24/7. Now, you know, I've got to be away. I see them at sporadic times. I come back and see them. So it's kind of different for them, you know. So I had to sit them down and tell them that the love is the same. We're still father, mothers, there's no difference between mommy and daddy. Because when they're young, they're so impressionable. And if we leave that impression with them as they grow up, they see the world differently. I thank God for that, because they've now grown up to be, very nice, beautiful children. They've got good mindset. They think very sensibly, and they have this habit of, if they're not sure, they ask first. They don't have, because most children growing up in single parenting have a bit of I use the word stubbornness in them. So with them, it's good that they don't have that much. They have a tiny little bit, but overall, as kids, they've moved along very well, Laila.
Do they ever blame you for the divorce?
The divorce? No, well, thank God, no. Till today, I've had some great conversation with them, and they've never once even sort of blamed me on that. They understand the situation. They love me for it. When they do grow up, they will have their own opinions put together, because when they're young, they weren't given a choice. They weren't given a choice of their opinions, but they saw the love and that the daddy had for them. And I'm sure when they grow up, they'll have their own opinions put across to their grandmothers and the mothers of how they were. So again, it's how life's going to be down for them in the next 10 years, because they're now 18, 16, and 14. So the next 10 years is really crucial for all three children, because they're going to be going to university, finding boyfriends, dating. So it's a cycle which I do not want them to go to. They must have a very clear mind when they get to that stage.
True. So I'm going to ask Angie also the same question. So how does her daughter feel about the divorce, and do you feel guilty, Angie? And also, does she ever blame you for the divorce? Not blame, like I guess anger. When you are angry, you say things, right? There's a blame. Let's not sugarcoat it.
No. She. There's no blame about it, but I do feel guilty. In the beginning, she was much younger, and when you go everywhere, there's always a mom and dad everywhere and everything. So, gets older, I explain to her and make her understand things. It's all about communication, understanding, and letting you know why, but not in details. Much details about it. So she's pretty all right about it.
So I remember in details when I sat down, my ex and I sat down with the kids, and they were so young, and both of us sat down and said, love is like a seed. Both of you have to water it and put fertilizer, basically shit on it, and then let the plant grow, right? I remember that conversation, and we tried very hard, but it just didn't work out. So stay there, Angie, but I'm going to bring up Caroline and ask her whether what about her kids, how do they feel about the divorce? The same question, I want to have a round table. Yeah. So your kids, how do they feel about the divorce?
They were very young when it happened, 4, 6, and 8. They never blamed us because they realized what was happening. Can you tell me, what was that again? I've lost the thread.
Okay. How do they feel about the divorce? Do they feel? Do you feel guilty?
In my case, it's tough because 2005 I left. We got divorced 2009, and it's still going on. So I'm still in court cases. So it's quite tough for the children, but it's made me a better parent, I think. And I think what Angie said was really right. Communication. And if you've probably noticed by now, I do talk. So there is always a line of communication with everybody, pretty much, also my cat. But I think that's so important. And yes, I mean, my children sometimes say, I wish, I had a mom and a dad, but I think it's more in the, not in the physical way, but more in kind of the metaphorical, way. So I think that's made me try to be a better and a bigger parent, I think. I don't know about you guys. It's kind of really pushed me to say, I need to be really good. I need to really, push myself into being a better parent. I don't know. That's just me.
I think for my kids, they did blame me when they were younger, a lot younger, because, they wanted the family unit so intact, and we were so great together, and they were so young. And as they grow older, getting into their own relationship, then they realize that it's not as rosy as it's supposed to be. So they're a lot more understanding now. So now they talk to me about the relationships and, and the same crap that we go through, right?
Yes. That's true. I think you're right. I think when they start realizing, because when they're young, they don't see it, right? But when they get older, probably yours, Auntie, as well, at 18. And especially, I think girls will go, wow, like my daughter goes, wow, you really do support and protect me. And I go, for me, I think that's natural, right? We all think that's what one does. But it's nice to get a feedback.
And they appreciate you,
Yeah, right.
I want to ask Maren, and I'm going to bring Angie down first. I'm going to bring Maren up with Caroline, where the next question I have to ask is, what's the best advice you have ever given your kids, Maren?
Well,
why are you always laughing, man?
Because I always tell the kids one thing: love is so important. If you love somebody, or if you love your mom, your dad itself, it's one thing that you can always have with you. You must embrace love, because you have to take that with you wherever you go. You cannot hate somebody, because hatred brings the worst out of you. So I keep telling them, just love everybody put together. Don't have any ill feelings against people. Sit down, talk, communicate, even if it's wrong, right? Just sit down and listen first, because they're growing up independently right now, and you want them to accept love, because if they push away that love, then it's a very empty shell that they have. So I want to fill them with love so that they know how to receive it itself, because as you give love, you receive love from people itself, so it's a very positive thing. So that's one thing I've been telling my children every single time I see them. I hug them, I kiss them, I love them. I tell them every single time, and I keep saying it, love all the time, Laila.
Maren, how about this? How about after the show, there's so many proposals for you. What are you going to do?
I gotta pen everything down one by one, like pen everything down, and I sort of go through my markers. I ask my children, darling, is this okay? Is this okay? It's gonna be funny.
Caroline, what about you? What's the best advice you ever
I agree with Maren. I'm a hug, and I'm very much in for love, very much. There are two other things that I've always taught my kids, and one is, I'm half English, so obviously, is a sense of humor. I live by a sense of humor. Even when I shout at them, at the end of every shout, there's always some quip, and they go, how can we take you seriously when we're on the floor laughing? And I say, because a sense of humor is really what will pull us through, because life ain't a bed of roses. It often looks like the shit that's underneath the rose. So that's important. And the other thing is, I always tell them to stand up for themselves. I say authority is authority, and if somebody's right, it's okay. But it's okay to stand up to an adult if they're full of shit. And I find it difficult, because I grew up in an era where you have to go, well, he's an adult, or he has some sort of CEO or something in front of what he says is right. And I go, it's not true. And I think it's important for my children to be polite, obviously have a good moral sense, but also to say, excuse me, sir, but I'm not quite sure that what you're saying is right. True. And I think that confidence, to have that kind of confidence, is a really important thing. I don't always have it. So, I hope there's a mixture of like love, confidence, and humor. So that's great. My poor kids have like a lot thrown at them, but.
You all make me look so bad, because I would never say that to my kids. I'm going to bring Angie up because Angie and I need to share about this. I bet you Angie's going to say the same thing. Love. I teach my daughters love. And I go like, damn it, I don't teach my daughter that shit. I didn't teach them. So Angie, what do you teach your daughter? I mean, what best advice you gave your daughter?
Okay, first of all, love yourself.
See?
Love yourself. Love yourself first.
Yes.
And then don't take no bullshit for anybody, regardless you're older, younger, or whatever it is. If they say that's wrong and they want you to say right, say it's wrong. Don't give in. You have the power to speak for yourself. I mean, before you have no choice, in the way we are raised and everything. Yes, okay, thank you. Yes, you have to submit all the time. But now, speak what you feel, And also to be humble. Humble is very important. Humble to share. And also sometimes it's good because she's able to have compassion with other children who are going through having single parents and having problems and everything. And once in a while, she do have friends that come to her and talk to her about it. And it's good, and she's sharing her vision, her point of view, how she went through and it's good. Yeah.
So I believe the love yourself first, because I pound it in my children. Love yourself, because if you are a little piece of shit, nobody wants to be around you anyway. So you expecting other people to love you is a bit asking for a bit too much. The other things that I would tell my kids is actions and consequences. To be responsible, whatever you do,
yes.
You need to be responsible, because there are consequences that follows up. Yeah. And then also the same thing as you, be humble, because beauty will fade, and kindness people will always remember. Don't be cocky, but there is a fine line between cocky and also questioning. You have the right to question, like both of you have said that you don't have to listen, you have to ask why. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It's pure. Exactly. It's simple. But I hope my children will find somebody like Maren, because all he does is love. Teach love. Okay. Right? Okay, so I know we're running a bit of time, but this is very interesting. So I'm going to bring up Maren up. I want to ask him things about what advice. I mean, I know people out there are going through, the same stuff that we went through. What advice can you give to people that are about to be a single parent? I mean, we're not promoting being a parent, because we know it's shit hard.
I think the best advice for every single parent out there going to be a single parent is one, you have to love yourself first, right? So that you can take on the responsibility of loving your children and accepting the situation as it is. And being a single parent is a wonderful thing. If anybody says being a single parent is a bad thing, I want to find the guy and shoot the person down, or a girl, because because the joy they get out of being the joy from single parenting is so much greater, because the kids get a lot more attention, and they get the best advice they need from yourself. In most cases, there's no interference from other people at the same time. So I would say they have to love themselves first.
Okay. What do you miss about being a family unit?
Celebrating Christmas, New Year as a whole family, that's the biggest miss that I have so far. The family unit where everyone's together, they sit down, we eat together, the good bonding time that we have as a family. That's the biggest thing that I miss as a family.
Okay, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to bring up Caroline. Caroline, what advice can you give to people out there, be it woman or man, who is about to become a single parent, scared shit, out their head. What advice can you give to those people?
It is a hard thing. I mean, it may sound quite fun now in retrospect, but there were hard times. I would say get support. And I say this because I do talk to quite a few women who go through divorce, and I say you need to get a lot of support, a shoulder to cry on, people to talk to, people to ask support from other single parents. I think that's very, very important, because sometimes when one goes from being a family unit to being alone, it's important, of course, to love oneself. And I totally agree with Maren. It's also important to have really a good support group around you, whether it's your parents or lots of other girlfriends or a lot of people, because it does get lonely sometimes when you're, I don't feel that way, but I do hear it from others. It is sometimes lonely when you go through, and you can't ask other people, you can't ask your spouse for advice. You have to know, and sometimes when you don't know, it's good to kind of ask around and see how other people do it.
Yeah. Before I forget, I'm going to put the support group at the end of this when we end the sessions, where single parents can go and get support from each other and help. What do you miss about being a family unit? I'm going to bring Maren down and bring Angie up now. Caroline? So what do you miss?
I think it's the family bonds probably, and traveling together was fun. It's so long ago, and I think because we are 4 together, and I have a fantastic helper assistant, my lovely Alinda, and a cat. I don't remember, because our house is always full. So, but I think it probably is that bond, and the traveling together and having fun together. Yeah.
What about you, Angie?
What I miss about family unit?
What advice can you give to people that that's going through single parenting, about to?
To be honest, get support, is what Caroline said. Get support, and stay strong and positive. Move on. And there's so many other people that can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's hard, but there's a tunnel out there.
Yeah. So what about what do you miss as a family unit? What do you miss the most?
Like road trips, traveling. That's the only thing. Yeah.
So I'm going to jump in I'm sorry that I have to jump in also, because I'm single parent also lah, So for me, especially for the women out there, and I don't belittle you for, please excuse me if I sound conceited. I know being a mom is very, very difficult. It takes a lot of your time. You can't, rest. It's always something that you have to do for your kids. But find something else besides that you will not be so dependent. Because we all are not wishing this upon you. But if shit happens, then at least you do not start from scratch and be so scared. What do I miss about being a family unit? Being a mom. I miss being a mom. I have turned out to be a parent and a dad more than a mom. I miss all those stuff that, when you cuddle up and read stories, and, I didn't have that choice. I was working 24/7 trying to put food, as you all are. And being a mom, trying to put, paying the bills, which was a lot, was scary for any of us. And I know all of us, including Maren also, being a man, I think for him it's a given. You have to look after your family. We take it for granted. But okay, so what was the hardest part? Of course, Caroline, what was the hardest part for you?
The hardest part of
being a single parent.
I don't know, because I did, and I'm not joking when I say, I think it was probably more the discipline, and sometimes the frustration. When you have teens, towels, the toothpaste. But I don't think that that's something that's hard as a parent. I think that's as a single parent. I think that's just hard as a parent. I don't. I think the hardest part for me was dealing with my ex. To be perfectly honest, I don't think that anything else came close to that. Obviously one has hard times with the kids, but I don't. I've never grounded them. I mean, I'll have a good shout, but usually it's because something else is happening. And I say to my kids, I shouted at you because something else. And they go, yeah, we know. Yeah. So I don't, but I'm also lucky, and I do earn, obviously, and I have to earn, I have to take care, but I am one of the lucky ones is that I do get a maintenance. So in terms of the financial issue, I'm not as, I didn't have to work as hard. So there were stressful situations with that, but I wasn't financially it wasn't financially as stressful. There were other things that were stressful. So
right. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to bring Myron up. What is your proudest moment being a single parent? Caroline.
My proudest moments are when, and there are many, I have tons of proud moments. It's when my children are independent, they are compassionate, they support somebody else, they're very charitable. My daughter runs a lot of, during her school time, she did 24-hour runs against sexual slavery. And I just love it when my kids actually are lateral thinkers, when they're doing, my son is a fencer and he's just doing lots of stuff with fencing, and he's doing writing, and then my other son is doing chemistry, so he was talking about that, and I just love. So I have to say, I'm just a constant proud parent, if you know what I mean. When they graduated, I was proud. When they, I don't know, when I see that they're really independent young adults, and when they were younger, when they did something, when they said something, when they were cute. So I don't know. I just
they were very young.
But they were really they're even cute now. I mean, I know my boys are a little hairier than they used to be, and my girl is taller and slightly more obstreperous. But I just find they're always cute. But I guess it's a mother thing, right? When they're all balding and in their 60s, I'll still think they're cute. I don't know.
I'm going to bring Myron, and for me, I think the proudest moment is. Like there are many. I think for me was to be able to continue to provide my kids for schooling. I think that's my proudest. I think for me,
of you, Laila. I know you for a long time. I've known you for a long time, and I am so freaking proud of you, because what you have done and have been doing while raising your kids and building up this amazing work that you've been doing, I'm really proud of you. So.
Thank you so much. I think it's not. I'm blessed because I work very hard and people trust me and give me opportunities. So it's still going. They have sucked my entire blood of money, and I am broke, and they just keep sucking my blood. I'm going to bring Angie up, Caroline. So I want to ask you, Myron.
Yes.
And Angie, so what is your proudest moment as a single parent?
Well, I have a few great moments put together. One was when my daughter was going to get her O-level results, and I was there with her in the school, and when she got her results, she threw up and she ran all the way across the entire hall. And she was the only child in the entire hall that ran across and jumped on me and hugged me and said, "Daddy, I passed. I'm going to Polytechnic. I passed." That was one of the best moments in my life together, because everybody was shocked, to see this little girl just running across the entire hall just to come and give me a huge hug because she did well in O levels. The other one was for my eldest girl when she was my second girl in debate. When she said that that her dad was the proudest thing for her to be with, and I was like, wow, okay, that's nice. I said, wow, I said you scored some brownie points from that. So those were the few fun part of being a single parent, and to see that, it shows that whatever you've put into them, it's coming out the right way. Again, that's how we see bringing up children is when you see them coming up, and what they give back to you is what you've put into them. If you put the right things to them, instill the right discipline, they will. There's no guarantee, but they'll still have it. They'll still have it as long as you teach them the right things. When my eldest girl was here in KL, she's 18 now. I was having beers with the aunties and all, and I asked my daughter, "Hey, do you want a beer?" And she says, "Can I?" I say, "Sure, go ahead." And then I just, put my hand up, got a beer, sat down, and just gave her the beer. Because I know they are going to learn to drink and find out smoking. It's better for me to sort of be with them, to share that knowledge versus trying to fight them. Because I remember when my dad caught me smoking donkeys years ago, he put he put 6 cigarettes lined up into my mouth, into my brother's mouth, and lit everything up. I quit smoking. My brother picked up smoking.
Oh, that's good parenting.
You see, it's called. I mean, it worked in those days, but because we've got millennium children. Not cat what Y generation. Ours is millennium. They have a different thought process. We cannot bring them up how our parents brought them up. We've got to be completely different with them. Be more of a counselor than a daddy.
Sorry, this one, I am not the same. I run a military. The boot camp is at home. But I want to ask you, what was the hardest part, Myron?
Hardest part was being away from them as much as I can. That was tough because I was away from them for the early part of the entire divorce process. Because I didn't get a chance to see them at all. Because I was going through a real bitter divorce itself, and I was afraid that 3-4 years of bitterness would have really got into them and turned them into a monster, because the other side was not so friendly. But no, because they remembered the small little things. Yeah, well, actually, all my children remember the small little things that I did for them while I was in the family. And my daughters always say, "Daddy, remember the time where we used to watch football? We have chips. We'll sit down on your lap and on bed. I'll be feeding you chips." So they remember those good moments. So again, I feel really happy that they have those happy thoughts in them all the time. So I keep giving them happy thoughts.
Okay. I want to ask Angie, what was the hardest part for you?
To make decisions about school, finance, trades, and everything, because ultimately you are responsible for it.
Right.
So I have to do a lot of research. I have to do a lot of questions, getting help elsewhere. Am I making it right or whatever? So that's the hardest, making decisions.
Okay. So what is your proudest?
Oh gosh. The proudest moment. Every time when you say, "You sure you're going to do this?" And she's like, "What makes you think I can't do it?" And she never fails. She always come back with something that she always surprises me, And her determination in studying and everything, I'm very proud of her for that.
So I want to ask, I want to ask 3 questions before I lose everybody, before everybody falls asleep. I'm going to bring Myron up and with Caroline. So it's interesting because we were asking Myron about a question, and he brought up, the hardest part was being away from your kids, right? I want to ask Myron and Caroline. So do you think there's a double standard? There's a bit of a twist here. Do you think there's a double standards with single parents, in the sense that I've had friends that told me because I work so much just to make sure that I can, support, because I was supporting my kids 100%. So they would say to me, oh, you're working so hard, you're working too much, you don't spend time with your kids, and you are not such a good parent, you're not such a good mother, not such a good mother, not parent. I want to ask Caroline first. Do you think there's a double standard? Because when men look after their kids and they still work, they have a helper at home, they are considered as, oh my God, they are looking after their kids and they're such a wonderful man. Just like when, I'll give you another example, when we look after our kids and we go out and the father looks at babysit, they're not babysitting, they look after their own children. So, that's like oh, he's so nice, he's so sweet, he's babysitting, So do you think that is a double standard?
Yeah.
I'm not belittling a man, a single man, a single parent.
But I think there's a double standard in all of these things, right? Also in divorce procedures, all of these things. I think there is a double standard. And there is a lot more emphasis on the work than the raising children. And I just say this also from a court's perspective. When you get divorced, people don't say, okay, you're taking care of the kids 24/7. What does that mean? How much value is attached to taking care of the kids? And very often, no offense, Maren, but very often what happens is that the woman's role in raising kids isn't really kind of thought about, because it really takes a lot, right? When you take over but again, I don't think that that's necessarily only a single parent issue. I think that's in general a mother issue, right? And if a woman then has to work all the time and can't see the children all the time, then I agree with you. I think there are, in many cases, there's a word in Germany which is called Rabenmutter, which is like a crow mother, which is a mother who doesn't really take care of the children. And that goes for women who work. And I think that already shows that if you work and you're not taking care of your kids, and in single parenthood, you often have to, right? That there is like a side of people who go, well, she's not taking care of her kids. So yeah, I do agree. Yeah, I do. Okay.
Angie, don't go anywhere, because I'm going to finish all these 3 questions. I'll get back to you with all these questions, because then it's in a better flow. Myron, do you think that there's a double standard?
Well, I think there's a double standard I agree with Caroline. There's always a double standard in everything that we do. When I was married, because when I used to take the kids and go to functions, all the kids will be with me and not with my ex-wife. And then every other mommies would say, look, why can't you? They say, why can't my husband be like him? Where he's looking after the children, making sure they eat first, they get well fed. And my ex-wife, I didn't have to work at all for 13 years that we were married. She was pretty much a home mommy. I did all the work for them. I made sure I provided for the family. And when I'm back home, I'm with the kids 24/7, 100%. Well, yes, in terms of double standards, it's a flip side. If you look at how women are looked at and how men are looked at, it's completely different.
Right. So, are you afraid Caroline, to end up alone?
No, not at all. But then again, I probably am the exception, because I'm a photographer and an artist, and I'm a vagabond, and I love traveling. I mean, for me, my dream is when all my kids are at university to strap on a backpack and go around the world. So that's kind of my dream. And what comes after, I kind of trust in life. And I think that if one has something to do on the side, like, all of us here have our passions and what we really want to do. I'm not that worried, no. I think others are a lot worried for me than I am about myself.
Yes, true, very true. I just had a client say to me this morning, they're like, oh, Laila, you should go out, because, you're not getting younger. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. There was one person, I have to tell you this. Oh, you have to meet somebody so you feel whole again. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm old. Are you kidding me? I'm having a fabulous time. I mean, obviously, I'm sitting there last night at 12 o'clock. I was arranging flowers and earrings to get a good shot. But that's what I love to do, right? Well,
Right.
so
Yeah, I like my me time too much. Myron, are you afraid of ending up alone?
No, not actually, because I've lived a lonely life for a while. I enjoy the job that I enjoy the work that I'm doing. I've been, like yourself, very fortunate to be in the health and fitness industry, changing people's life and situation. I'm around people, and I sort of work with everybody, because I work with the entire. I work with all emotional type of people here, so I get all the love and care that I need from every single one of them, being young and old. So no, I'm not afraid. You know, I've got great faith in life, that life will give you what you need and not what you want. We all want a lot of things in life, but guess what? Life will give you what you need, you know, and then we take from what we have, and then just move along, you know. Just be grateful that we wake up tomorrow morning and we have another great day put together, you know. So live every day as it goes along, and never worry about today, because guess what, you know, I never worry about yesterday, and I never worry about tomorrow, because I've got today to live and make the most of. And I just been doing that for a long time in my life put together, whether it's up or whether it's down. I wake up in the morning, I smile, I say, look, I've got another day to go out and attack. Here I go, you know.
I can hear a lot of proposal already. Okay. Okay. Last question around you two. What's one thing, Caroline, that your kids don't know about you when they say something hurtful?
what's one thing the kids don't know?
Yeah. When the kids say something hurtful towards you, right? What don't they know that it hurts you? How do you react? How do you feel? That's the question.
I tell them. I mean, you've obviously.
Really?
I mean, I'm very open, right? I mean, I grew up with I mean, you should see the discussions we have at the dinner table. I mean, it's like verbal diarrhea. I mean, we always. And for me, the main thing is communicate. Ask, communicate if you don't know. And if my children hurt me by saying something, I say, "You've hurt me," and I expect the children to say the same, because sometimes there are things about each other that we will never know. Like, yeah. And so if I say something to my children, I want them also to say, "Mom, that wasn't really very kind. And even if I know that I might have deserved it, I don't think you should have said that." And I want them to be, the biggest thing is for me to be able to say, "I'm sorry." And for the kids to be able to say, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I screwed up. I'm sorry. I said that." And I would say the same. You know, I think that is really, and so if they say something hurtful to me, I will actually say, "Ooh, you know, that was like below the belt."
Okay.
And they will
Myron?
say,
Go ahead. They will say, hang on a second. Sorry.
That was it.
Myron, what do you, what's the bloody question? Well, if the kids say something, when the kids say something hurtful, right? That's one thing that they don't know about you. How do you deal with it? How do you feel? That's the question.
Well, Laila, that's a very good question. Why? Because my daughter was 12 when we were going through divorce, and my eldest girl was quite knowledgeable back then. So she was on Facebook, and she sent me a very long and nasty text when she was 12 years old. Say, "Daddy, it's your fault. You did this, blah, blah, blah." It was a long text that came to me itself. And when I read that, I had tears rolling down my eyes itself, because I felt really hurt and painful. But what I did was I replied back to her in such a way that I told her, "I'm very sorry for the situation they're in right now. I'm sure when she does grow up and she finds out the situation, she'll understand it better. And 6 years down the road, you know, because she's a lot more older and a lot more wiser, she came up to me and she kind of said sorry to what she had said then, and hugged me and said, "Look, you know, if I know what I knew then and now would be different." And I didn't judge my daughters. I didn't say anything bad to them, because they don't know, because they were put in a situation where they weren't supposed to be in, and they've been dealt a card which they were not supposed to be dealt with. That's life. So and I've trained myself. I trained them to expect life to throw them cards that they least expect and to deal with it first, versus they're just trying to blame the world out there. So I took on the responsibility and I said, look, I will take it upon myself to change their thought process, and I was happy that I managed to do that in that time frame itself.
Yeah. So before I let you guys go down and to lobby and have Angie up, Myron, we have Rich Henderson asking a question. He's wondering if you got co-parenting or you have full custody of your kids.
Co-parenting.
Co-parenting. Co-parenting is both parents have custody. Yeah.
Custody of kids. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay. So I have full custody. I was given the full custody. So, okay, so I'm bringing up Angie. Angie, come up here, and then we'll ask this 3 question. Do you think there's double standards between a single parent mom and a single parent dad?
Well, I've always been doing it myself. So, through trial and error, learning and everything, I'll just do it my way.
Right, but do you think that there is a double standard, meaning that if as a woman, if you work, you look after your own kids, and then as a man, they always say that you're working too hard, or you're not spending enough time with your kids. But as a man, you go to work, but you have somebody else helping you with raising the kids. He's such a good parent. Do you think that's a double standard? Do you agree that that's double standard to everything in life anyways?
Well, it depends on the situation though. As for me, I've worked, look after, going through places, and as we said, communication is very important to keep them on their feet, right?
Right.
For me, I've always been doing everything myself. So, and a man can do it as well. So.
Right. What about, are you afraid ending up alone?
No, not afraid. Not at all.
Not anymore.
I just accept. No, not anymore. But I have friends who are afraid for me. I don't know why. They're just so afraid for me. It's like, you need to find someone. You need to go out more. You need to do things. But I'm just so happy the way it is.
That's what Caroline was saying. They are more afraid for us than maybe it's their own projection.
Exactly.
Maybe it's projection.
Like I'll go out and say, what, we're not going to go through that topic anymore, So let's talk about something else. Every time, so are you dating somebody? Are you seeing somebody? Don't you want to do this? You should do this, you should do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy.
You should say, are you pawning your husband off to me because you don't want him anymore? That's why you want me to find someone. Because you don't want to deal with him anymore. So, okay, so what's one thing that your kid don't know about you when they say something hurtful?
There's some days that you just have to do it all by yourself, and someday you just lock yourself and you just cry. That's it. That's the only thing. It's like, my God, cry of happiness, cry of sadness. You just have to let go, but they don't. They don't know.
Yeah.
But
so
now,
for me, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
You have to show them your emotions. You have to show them because you're matured enough now, right? They can understand, because they're gonna take it to the next generation. Yeah, right. It's all about let them understand you now. Now is the right time to let them understand you.
Yeah, because as they get older, they understand a lot more too.
And you're gonna go to the next level with boyfriends. Soon later, here or there.
Yeah, I think for us 3, we are the representative for our children. We are so careful that because our marriage broke up, we want them to be more stable than other kids, and we are so careful trying to lay everything right. Do not want them to think that divorce is an easy thing. We wish well for our kids. We try not. I mean, for me personally, I'm just going to say it. I do not want my children to overcompensate by meeting shit guys because their relationship with their father is shit. So I'm very careful with that. So love yourself is far more important than loving others at the moment. So love yourself first. I think the last question is so fantastic because I just want to share when my kids say hurtful things, and the most shocking to them was when I cried, and they found me crying, and they were shocked because to them, I never cry. You know, I'm the pillar. I have no time. I'm working, idiots. But I'm glad that question, because it shows our kids that we are human. And I am so proud of this subject today and have all of you as my guest. And I'm so proud to call myself a single parent among 3 beautiful people with great insights and great head on their shoulders. And also, I like the mixture of race, because normally it's typical. It's always, you know, a certain race that is highest in divorce. We didn't ask for it. No matter what race we are, it happens to us, and we make the best out of things. On that note, guys, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure. I will see you guys next week, and I will put up the help group at the end of this for anybody that needs help with single parenting. On that note, bye-bye. Thanks, guys.